Here's my Brandywine tower. I'm going to show you what I did to have such a successful crop this year, as I've tried this for other years and not even come close to this amount of production. So I'm going to show you a few tips I did. This is the yard. Here's my black towers. If I would do it again next time, I'd do this in a black tower, as black stops light. And actually, I just read on ChatGPT, Brandywine specifically, and probably most tomatoes or all tomatoes, don't like light on their roots. So the tower garden material does let in light, so that's a problem. But even so, I did get a large crop. This year I had so much production, you can see, and I've even picked a lot already, so this isn't even all of it. But let me just show you a few tips that I did this year. And I deliberately left this a little bit unkept on top. This is the branches that are most recent, and it shouldn't really be left like this. I'm going to show you what is supposed to be done here. But I'll show you these tools I got. These are from Amazon. These are pretty good. Got the one big one on the right, the one for the smaller stuff on the left. If you have a tight spot, you can still get in. So I usually use this one. One tip is cut off the armpits when they arise, because this plant is going to grow exponentially. And if it does, it just gets way too bushy. And you can see it's so bushy right here. This is how it gets. Like, the whole thing would be like this if I had never pruned. And that's a problem because it develops this fungus, because the wind blows off this fungus. And if there's no airflow because it's too bushy, then the leaves and the plant gets fungus. And it still does have some fungus, you can see. I can't cut that off though, because that's the main stem. So I just have to do my best here. Let me find some armpits. There should be many examples. This is a perfect example. See, this one right here is right in the armpit. See, this is the main branch coming up, and then you got a side branch that is just some leaves, and then the armpit. This will grow into a whole nother plant. So if you don't cut these, you could have basically 16, 32, 64 plants. And it's just way too much. You don't need that much. This is plenty. This is more than enough tomatoes. And if you did that, tomatoes probably would be smaller, because the plant would have to be giving nutrients to way more tomatoes, and now you have smaller tomatoes. And then you'd have a very bushy plant, and you'd get disease, or you get fungus, and that might hurt the plant, and it might hurt the tomatoes too. Anyway, so all you have to do is just go as low as you can. Some people want to go flush, and that would be ideal, but I can't really get flush there, so I just do the best I can. This is an armpit right at the beginning of that armpit. So I just cut that off. Sometimes you can just pinch it with your fingers too. You don't need a tool unless it's see, you got another one. They're all over, because I haven't done this in a week or two, just because I wanted to show on video. You can pinch those off. Maybe I'll pinch one off, show you. There's another armpit. If you're vigilant, then it won't be that many. Every few days you do a few, but tomatoes grow fast. So here's another armpit right here. I'll pinch that one. So yeah, even pinching off can be better sometimes. But the problem is, you just saw that one. It gets a little... Drop that one. Problem is, when you pinch it off, sometimes it gets stringy like that. And that's probably not good for the plant to have strings come off like that. So that's why I usually use that for bigger ones like that one. So that's basically tip one. Cut off the armpits. Second one is any dead branches, cut those off too, because those aren't doing any good. See, these ones are starting to wither. There's no point in keeping those, so just cut those off. These ones too, they're getting diseased, and they're not doing anything really. These are leaves that are green, but I don't like the way that looks, and this definitely needs to be cut. I'll just cut that one off only. And then this one too, I don't like that. But this whole thing has tomatoes on it, so I don't want to cut it. Actually, the tomatoes are on that one, so not on the one underneath. Sorry. So I'll go ahead and just cut this. Only here, this whole branch is kind of hidden from the sun anyway, so I might as well, and there's nothing on it. There's no tomatoes on it except for the tomato right there, this tomato branch. So I'll cut right after the tomato branch. And I would say don't be shy about cutting. Honestly, you need to cut a lot. So you think, oh no, I'm cutting so much. No, you need to cut a lot because there needs to be good airflow. So let's see here. This branch looks terrible. Some of these branches are away from the sun, so I already know that they're not really doing that much anyway because they're being blocked by the plant. This is on the other side of the sun. The sun is hitting this side, even though I cut off most of the side already. But in prior trimmings, let's see. This branch looks terrible. So cut that off. Anything that looks bad, I just go for. This one doesn't look good. Go for. Sometimes it's hard to know. If it gets really bushy, it's hard to know what leads to what. And you just do your best and go for the ones you can tell. Trace it back as far as you can, and then see, okay, there's no tomatoes on this one. No problem. And eventually, it won't be as bushy, and it'll be more easier to understand. Now, got another armpit here. That armpit off. And you really could let some armpits go if you want. Like I'm considering sometimes, if you say I just want more production here, and maybe you trimmed it down so much, and you think I trimmed it down too much, just let an armpit go, because that's going to produce more tomatoes, and maybe you want that. You're looking for the right balance between airflow and enough foliage to produce tomatoes. So here's another armpit. Don't want that. This one is, sometimes you get a tweener like this. It's hard to tell on this one which is the armpit. Like this looks like a regular branch, and so I'm going to decide this looks like the main branch, and this is the armpit. So I'm going to cut that off. You're not hurting the plant by doing this. This is what some people think. You're not hurting the plant. This is like a haircut. When I get a branch like that, I should have stopped. When I get a branch like that is load bearing, like it's leaning on the tower, I don't want to cut it flush because I still want this part kind of propping it up. So I usually cut after the protrusion over the ring when I get those. Another one here with dead leaves on it. Cut that. That was good to get cleared. See, all these other leaves are way tucked under. They're dying. They're not doing anything. They're just preventing airflow. So cut those off. You have so many branches that you can keep that you could just be like, you can be picky. You can say this branch looks this way. Anything that looks bad in any way, you can say, I'll just cut that off, because you have so many good branches. This branch looks so good. It looks healthy, good. So I'll keep that. But for that one to thrive, and I'll put this over here now. Now it's growing too big for my cage, so I have to kind of lean it, like let it prop over the side. I can't really grow up too much more. I guess I could put another rung or two on the cage, but think about that later. Here's another armpit. I think I'll cut that off. Look at all these dead leaves. You don't want that. Don't want that. So I'm not going to... Pretty much, this is pretty much done, I think, for now. This looks pretty clear that the wind will be able to blow in here, and that blows off some of this fungus. So it's a lot better. I still see some brown here. I forgot I didn't get those. Those are obviously ones that we should cut. Somebody's watching this that's a real expert, and they're like, oh, you didn't do this and this. I'm like, well, yeah, you're probably right. I probably didn't do it perfectly, but I did it good enough. So again, the armpits, the dead leaves. The third one, I would say, this is one I just read recently. Let me show you my other one. And this is the other Brandywine. There's 2 Brandywines on each of these towers. And there's only Brandywine. I got to trim that one too, obviously. It's way too bushy right there. And it's really leaning because these tomatoes are getting heavy here. So it's kind of a good problem. You're like, okay, I have so much weight in tomatoes that the tower is leaning. Those are just about ready, huh? Another thing is, as I was saying, the taste of Brandywine is going to be better the longer you wait. Let them ripen on the vine. With Brandywine, and I don't know if this is true with all tomatoes, but with Brandywine, they develop their taste at the very end. So if you pick them, like when those are starting to turn red, you pick those and they ripen in a week and you eat them, it may not taste as good as you were expecting, or as good as they could taste, because I've been eating some of these like that, and I thought, this isn't that great. This is like, scale of 1 to 10, I give it a 7 for the Brandywines that I picked at this stage, and they start turning color. And then I ate them, and I'm like, yeah, I was expecting more, a little bland. And ChatGPT said, yeah, the reason is because you picked them too early. You got to pick them when they're late, when they're red, deep red. These ones I'm going to pick, and I'm going to taste them at the end of the video, just to see, because these are pretty red. I think they're ready. This one, let me see. This one, they're kind of smaller, but that's okay. Yeah, that one basically just fell off, so these are ready, I think. Yeah, these two are ready. I'm going to go inside and eat these in a second. Another tip is I had Brandywines on all 3 of these towers. That one I had 2 Brandywines, and that's all I had. I started them at the very bottom because they're going to take over the tower and they're going to grow upwards. So if you start them at the 2nd rung or 3rd rung, there's not really that far for them to go before they hit the top. And you could move more tomato cages up there, but it's a little bit harder to work with, especially if you're not super tall. I'm 6'2", but even for me, like, I don't want it to go that much taller. I'd have to get on the ladder. So I don't want to do that. So I start at the very bottom. I leave the rest open because I know the tomatoes are going to take over. Same thing with this one. I had 2 tomatoes, the very bottom rungs, no other plants. I did have flowers actually when I started at the top. But once the tomato got bigger, I just took the flowers out. So that's how I did it. And that leaves enough room for the tomato. Any more plants in there, that's going to restrict airflow. And for the plants themselves, the tomato's going to cover them. And so they're not going to get a lot of light. So it's just not ideal. It's going to be better spacing just to have only your tomatoes on the tower. We had 2 tomatoes only in this tower, 2 tomatoes only in that tower, and those did very well. You can see lots of tomatoes on both. This tower, I did have 1 Brandywine. I'll show you. It's still there. And those tomatoes are Brandywine. And I put it here. And actually there's 2. That's another thing. I had 2 Brandywines here. I didn't prune it. And that's not good. You want to prune it. But you can see this was the same batch of tomato seeds, the same time I planted it as those 2 and those 2, the same time, but it has way less production. I mean, it has some tomatoes on there, but they're smaller. And the plant is way less big. I haven't trimmed this hardly at all because I haven't needed to. It didn't really grow that much. And the reason, I think, is because of this tower. It has tons of other plants on it. I had a cucumber that I just picked right here. I had this huge plant. I'm not even sure what this is, to be honest with you. We had this one. This was a hummingbird feeder mix. This wasn't even a seeds we bought. Like, somebody gave us this hummingbird feeder for Christmas, and they gave us a bunch of seeds in the seed packet. I don't know what it is, but it looks really nice. This was a unintentional test of what happens when you put a Brandywine on its own tower there, and a Brandywine sharing the tower with other stuff. And if you looked inside here, there'd be a ton of roots in there from this huge flower. So those are my tips for Brandywine. Let me just finish this off by taste testing. I don't want to tell you that Brandywine are 7 out of 10. This is probably higher. My Brandywine here, the one I just picked, the most reddest one. Let's see. Yeah, that's better than a 7. That's definitely better I could definitely taste it. Like these ones I picked and let them ripe off the vine. But these tasted like a 7 when I do it that way. This one, I would say, is at least an 8. At least an 8 out of 10. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next video.